The story is about Sunhee, who always had serious trust issues, especially when it comes to relationship. She's constantly afraid that her partners will try to take her money. One day, she finds out that she could get promoted at work, on one condition: she has to be married. But Sunhee doesn't want the burden of a real marriage, so she hires a man named Kim to fake it just to secure the promotion. Her trust issues likely come from her childhood, where her mother shared her love with foster kids. Sunhee hated sharing, whether it was her mother's attention or her own money. Currently, Sunhee is at a coworker's wedding. She can't help but calculate the amount of money the guests must have given as gift. But no matter how much it is, she thinks it won't cover the cost of such an event. This thought makes her anxious, as she fears she'd have to spend her hard-earned money if she ever got married. In fact, this fear is why she broke up with her boyfriend, Mr. On, 6 months ago, even though it hurt him deeply. She had even applied a bandage to a wound he got, feeling guilty about it. Now, attending Mr. On's wedding, Sunhee feels a bit upset. But when they reveal their engagement photos, she discovers that Mr. On had a backup plan in case she left him. This revelation makes her furious, and she impulsively tries to ruin their special moment in revenge. But things don't go as planned. When she returns home to her foster sisters, Sunhee feels regret, especially for giving them a wedding gift in the first place. Sunhee's sisters aren't really surprised by her behavior. She's always been this way with her ex-boyfriends, making sure they pay their fair share and always thinking twice before spending her own money. Meanwhile, Kim is an intelligent guy, but he's unemployed because his strong morals often get in the way. His neighbors even call him an angel in human form because of his kind and heroic actions. Later that night, Sunhee runs into Kim at a convenience store. It quickly becomes clear that they can't stand each other. The next day at work, Sunhee talks to her friend Young, who tells her about the advantages of being a married employee: more vacation days, better salary hikes, and faster promotions compared to single workers. This shocks Sunhee, who has worked so hard for so little, realizing all the benefits go to the married employees. Frustrated, she confronts her manager, who also happens to be her ex-boyfriend, and demands that he pay back the money she gifted him for his wedding. He agrees, but only on the condition that he'll repay her on her own wedding day, which he doubts will ever happen. Angry, Sunhee threatens to expose his affair to his wife. Panicked, he begs her for forgiveness and confesses that his wife handles all their finances, so he doesn't have the money to pay her back right now. Still, he promises to pay her back at her wedding. Annoyed that marriage seems to be the only way to move forward in life and get her money back, Sunhee approaches Kim, seeing him as a potential fake husband. However, Kim refuses. He dislikes women who smoke and drink, and he's already seen her mistreat her boyfriends at his store. With that in mind, he flatly rejects her offer to be her groom. The next morning, Sunhee finds out that her ex-boyfriend, Mr. On, is trying to steal her business proposal. Furious, she confronts him, but he tells her she should just let him have it because, as a single woman, the proposal won't benefit her as much as it would a married man. His words push her over the edge, and she decides to find a groom immediately through an online matrimony site. Despite her frustration, Sunhee still wants to try her luck with Kim one last time. Instead of her usual routine of buying cigarettes, she tells him straight up that she urgently needs a fake groom and offers to hire him for the job. But Kim still refuses. When her sisters find out about her plan to stage a fake marriage, they're disgusted. They tell her that marriage isn't a game, but Sunhee sees it purely as a business deal to secure financial benefits. She snaps at them, telling them not to act like they're her family. This angers Chahi, who storms out of Sunhee's house. Namja tries to calm Chahi down, but Chahi is confused and hurt, wondering why Namja still wants to stay with someone who doesn't even consider her family. Namja remembers how upset Sunhee was when Namja was adopted into their family years ago, but she doesn't want to leave her alone. The next morning, Sunhee gets a call from her matchmaker about a potential groom. Without bothering to check his background, she quickly meets with the matchmaker and signs the contracts. That night, at the convenience store, a man arrives to buy cigarette. When he pays using his phone, Kim notices a message from Sunhee pop up. Realizing that the man is actually a con artist and male escort, Kim intentionally drops the phone, breaking it. The man gets angry, but Kim's quick action prevents Sunhee from getting a reply from her fake groom. Later, as Sunhee passes by the store, Kim stops her. Concerned that she might fall into more trouble by trusting a con artist, he offers to help her by pretending to be her fake groom. However, he has one condition: Sunhee must take care of a stray cat for at least a week. The next day, Sunhee and Kim go shopping together. Unexpectedly, they run into An and Kwan. An is shocked to see how handsome Sunhee's groom is, instantly feeling envious. Sunhee is internally panicking, She had thought that Kim's rough appearance wouldn't leave a strong impression on her family and friends, making it easy to forget him after the fake marriage. But now, seeing how attractive Kim looks, she realizes people won't easily forget him, and that could spell trouble for Kim later. Jealous, An tries to embarrass Sunhee by pointing out that she's marrying a younger man. But Kim quickly steps in to defend her, claiming they've been friends since childhood, much to An's surprise. Later, Sunhee gets mad at Kim for looking too good, worrying that people will remember him too well. As they argue, a random lady scolds Sunhee for being unreasonable. She thinks that Sunhee is being rude to Kim because of his poor shabby looks, and asks her to be a better person. Sunhee starts to think Kim is wasting his good looks by living a shabby life without girlfriends, but Kim calmly explains that he believes his good looks only cause him trouble. Meanwhile, An becomes increasingly suspicious of Sunhee's relationship with Kim, especially since she never mentioned having a male childhood friend. The next day at the office, Sunhee hands out wedding invitations while distributing sweets. She even gives one to Mr. Bach, the company's CEO, who is pleased to see more employees getting married, as it benefits the company. He asks his secretary, Yeo, to attend the wedding on his behalf. However, her co-workers are puzzled. They notice that the invitation doesn't include a picture of her groom, nor has she properly introduced him to them. When they hear from Kwan that her groom is very handsome, their curiosity deepens. An, still jealous, notices that Sunhee isn't wearing an engagement ring, which makes others even more suspicious. Sunhee brushes it off, saying she's keeping it all a surprise for the wedding day. Later, Sunhee goes to the convenience store to meet Kim. She asks him to stage a proposal so she can record it and show it to her guests at the wedding. Kim, frustrated, refuses. He reminds her that he's only pretending to be her groom and refuses to do a fake proposal just to impress her guests. Since Kim refused to help with the proposal video, Sunhee was forced to create it herself to make their fake relationship seem real. Later, Kim receives a call from his girlfriend, with whom he has a strained relationship. He tells her he's getting married, hoping to end things for good, so she doesn't call him anymore. Meanwhile, Sunhee is busy buying engagement rings. When she goes to the convenience store to meet Kim, she finds him missing, and suddenly the lights go out. As she moves further inside, she's surprised to find Kim proposing to her with a handmade ring. He tells her he's asking her to marry him to get his persistent ex-girlfriend, who lives in Canada, off his back as she keeps pressuring him to move there. The day of their fake wedding arrives, and they go through the ceremony in front of Sunhee's office staff, friends, and family. The next day, Kim is ready to return his ring to Sunhee when An and Kwan arrive and invite the couple to stay at the company's luxury hotel for free. Not wanting to miss the chance to experience the luxury, Sunhee convinces Kim to go with her. However, since An and Kwan are constantly around, they have to keep up the act of being a couple throughout the trip, even when heading to their room. Meanwhile, Sunhee's foster sister, Namja, meets up with Secretary June, an old school friend. They reminisce about their school days, and June remembers that Namja used to write novels instead of doing homework, which forced Sunhee to come to school on her late mother's behalf. When June asks what she does now, Namja hesitates but finally admits that she writes exotic novels for her online fans. Back at the hotel, Kim helps Sunhee count the congratulatory money from the wedding, which she promptly deposits into her bank account. Later, Sunhee's colleagues start asking when they can meet Kim in person again, confusing her because she and Kim have already gone their separate ways. Worried, she goes to the convenience store, only to find out that Kim has quit his job and disappeared. When she tries to call him, his phone is unreachable, leaving her sad and unsure if she'll ever see him again. A few days later, Sunhee's company begins hiring new employees, and to her shock, Kim reappears as one of the new recruits. With a new hairstyle, no one seems to recognize him at first, but Sunhee is furious. After their introductions, Sunhee privately expresses her concern to Kim that their colleagues might recognize him and they could be exposed for faking the wedding. Kim reassures her that they won't get caught, pointing out that her co-workers have only seen him once and his new look will help keep him under the radar. Still, Sunhee is filled with anxiety, and she starts making plans to transfer Kim to one of the company's other branches to keep him out of sight. When the company sends its new employees to a business camp to evaluate their sales skills, Sunhee cleverly assigns Kim to a different task, hoping to keep him away from the real work. However, Kim still manages to attract a lot of attention due to his charming looks and engaging personality, making more sales than expected. While observing the situation, Sunhee notices a child who seems hurt and alone. When she approaches him, she realizes his injuries suggest something more than just a fall down the stairs. Confronting his guardian, Sunhee faces anger and hostility. When she threatens to call the cops, the man becomes furious and is about to hurt her, but Kim arrives just in time to defend her. A physical altercation ensues, landing both Kim and the child's guardian at the police station. The man tries to shift the blame onto Sun-hee and Kim, but they are saved by Colby Company's legal lawyer, who comes to their defense. After the incident, Sun-hee, grateful for Kim's intervention, admits she might have done something drastic in her rage if Kim hadn't stopped her. Later, Kim meets a man named Jang, the manager of Sun-hee's company, who reveals that Kim's biological father, the company's owner, has assigned him to work there for reasons unknown. Jang gifts Kim a luxurious apartment in a high-rise building, but Kim becomes suspicious of Jang's true intentions. Jang, however, remains tight-lipped about the matter. The following day, Kim officially joins the company, much to Sun-hee's worry. To celebrate, they go to a karaoke studio with their colleagues. Afterward, Kim drops Sun-hee off at her home, only to find An, her ex, sitting outside drunk. This angers Kim, and he wants to call An's wife to report his behavior, but Sun-hee stops him, not wanting to cause a scene. Kim feels hurt, thinking Sun-hee still has feelings for An, which might explain why she's reluctant to acknowledge Kim as her husband at the office. Despite her growing feelings for Kim, Sun-hee struggles to explain her reasons, leaving Kim upset. He leaves but soon returns to take care of An, sending him home in a taxi. The next day, Kim becomes worried when Sun-hee doesn't show up for work. He calls her but learns from a colleague, Ji-yeon, that Sun-hee has been reported to the Employee Harassment Committee for being too harsh on Kim. Panicking, Kim rushes to the meeting room and, to stop Sun-hee from being demoted, unexpectedly reveals that they are married. Sun-hee, sensing the situation, agrees and confirms their marriage, though the committee becomes furious that they hadn't informed HR earlier. Despite this, Kim's lie saves Sun-hee from demotion, lifting her mood slightly. Soon after, their colleagues find out that Kim is Sun-hee's husband. They decide not to answer unnecessary questions and continue pretending to be a couple in front of everyone. However, Sun-hee learns that Ji-yeon, the one who reported her, has quit his job upon discovering their marriage. Concerned, they visit Ji-yeon's house, where they meet his mother. Ji-yeon explains everything about Kim and Sun-hee to his mother, feeling guilty for causing trouble. Kim tries to reassure Ji-yeon about the situation, while his mother, concerned, asks Sun-hee if they are truly married. Sun-hee clears the misunderstanding, explaining that they had a valid reason to pretend to be married. Ji-yeon's mother apologizes on her son's behalf, as Ji-yeon had only wanted to help Kim, his close friend. They manage to mend their relationship with Ji-yeon, though Sun-hee is puzzled that Kim kept his friendship with her colleague a secret. As they head home, Sun-hee starts to worry about pretending to be married to Kim for the long term, realizing she'll need to give him back the engagement ring. When she goes to the store to return it, she learns that Kim has already bought the ring, fueling her curiosity since the marriage was fake and he shouldn't need it anymore. The next day at the office, Sun-hee's friend becomes suspicious when she arrives alone, as Kim is already present. The situation raises more questions about their marriage. When Sun-hee sees the engagement ring on Kim's finger, he casually mentions that he rented it back, thinking he might need it again. This only adds to Sun-hee's confusion. She suggests that they should start arriving at the office together to avoid raising suspicions, and Kim agrees. Later, Sun-hee shares her dilemma with her foster sisters, Namja and Cha. While Cha jokes that Kim might have fallen in love with her and bought the ring as a sentimental keepsake, Namja speculates that Kim probably has a girlfriend and bought the ring thinking he'd eventually need one anyway. This only deepens Sun-hee's internal conflict. Meanwhile, Kim meets a woman named Moon, who works at an orphanage where they both volunteer to help children in need. The next morning, when Kim arrives to pick up Sun-hee in an expensive car, she's taken aback. He brushes it off, saying it was a gift, but Sun-hee, feeling frustrated, bluntly asks if he has a girlfriend or a side chick. Kim denies it, jokingly stating that he has a wife named Sun-hee. On their way to the office, Sun-hee can't resist asking about the ring. Though Kim seems startled by the question, he fumbles for an excuse, but their conversation is interrupted by a phone call. It turns out the company chairman wants them to volunteer as faces of the Child Abuse Prevention Committee, given their previous brave act of saving a child at the park. After the conference, they have a meal with CEO Bak and the chairman, who happens to be Kim's biological father. During dinner, Kim, knowing his estranged father is present, vents about never having seen his father, calling him a jerk who abandoned his mother and him. The tension thickens, but the conversation eventually shifts to lighter topics. The night ends with too much drinking, and the next morning, Sun-hee, Kim, and An wake up in the same bed, confused about what happened. On their way to work, Sun-hee insists they act more like a newlywed couple to keep up appearances, especially in front of An. However, things become more complicated when An, now promoted to team leader, starts digging deeper, suspicious that their relationship is just for show. Worried, Sun-hee suggests that Kim should officially move in with her to strengthen their cover, offering him the small rooftop hut above her house. Kim questions whether it's worth leaving his luxurious apartment, but he obliges to make her happy. What Sun-hee doesn't realize is that Kim has lived in that same house before, during his school days. As Kim moves in, he sells off the trash stored in the rooftop hut as Sun-hee requested. They soon invite close friends and colleagues to their home for breakfast. An takes note that Sun-hee's house looks exactly the same as before, raising suspicion, but his wife gets curious, asking if An has visited Sun-hee before. Before An can answer, Namja intervenes, explaining that Kim moved in without bringing any new furniture. Ji-yeon, another colleague, chimes in, praising Kim for his good looks and kind nature, recounting how Kim once carried a girl down from a mountain during a hike. This story makes Sun-hee realize that Kim, with his charm and youth, might be better off enjoying life with younger women rather than being stuck in a fake marriage with her. Feeling guilty, Sun-hee encourages Kim to go on dates and enjoy his youth, which Kim takes as a cue to tease her. He grabs the keys to his room and heads to sleep, leaving Sun-hee conflicted and confused. After realizing she might have deeper feelings for Kim, she impulsively kisses him in an attempt to act like a couple, especially since An is spying on them. Kim, irritated that the kiss was motivated by An's presence rather than her feelings, kisses her back. Meanwhile, An learns more about Kim's past at the convenience store and discovers that although Kim was popular with girls, he never had a serious relationship. The next morning, tensions rise and Kim and Sun-hee argue. Kim then decides to visit Sun-hee's mother in a mental hospital, where he vents his frustrations about Sun-hee being too childish to realize he's fallen in love with her. He also notices that Sun-hee is fiercely independent and doesn't seem to need anyone's help, not even his. Later, Sun-hee pitches a new business idea to promote their education program, which captures Kim's attention as a potential customer, since he wants to provide free education to children at the orphanage. This collaboration attracts CEO Bok's interest, boosting Sun-hee's confidence. Feeling guilty about the kiss, Kim writes an apology letter to Sun-hee, promising never to kiss her again, which only frustrates her further. She drags Kim to a store to buy him a bed, despite his protests that he can't afford one. Sun-hee insists on gifting him a comfortable bed, further convincing Kim that she might like him but refuses to admit it. Their complicated emotions continue to deepen as they navigate their fake marriage and the undeniable chemistry between them. When they return home, Sun-hee asks Kim to wait for the right time to officially start dating once her worries about promotion and being caught subside. Kim, happy that her feelings are mutual, agrees to her condition, giving them both hope for the future. The next morning, An is excited about working with Sun-hee outside the office, but his excitement raises suspicions with his wife. She begins to suspect that An still has feelings for Sun-hee and that there might have been something between them in the past. At the orphanage, Sun-hee arrives in Kim's car, surprising An. They meet with the director to discuss introducing free services for the children, and Kim's friend Moon is present as well. The director is thrilled to hear that Kim is also involved with the company and that he will be helping at the orphanage. Moon, who clearly has feelings for Kim, seems happy too. This makes An confused, as he didn't know that Kim had been helping the orphanage for a long time. The director mentions that Moon has been assisting Kim for years, and before An can question further, Sun-hee changes the subject, and they leave. However, this interaction plants a seed of doubt in An's mind. He realizes that Kim and Sun-hee's marriage might be fake. Feeling guilty for having left Sun-hee alone in the past, An asks her to rekindle a secret relationship with him, promising to take care of her. His proposal infuriates Sun-hee, and she shuts him down completely, livid that he would suggest such a thing. The next morning, manager Jang, who has been fired, meets with Kim and reveals that Kim's biological father's wife has discovered his true identity. She will likely come after Kim and Sun-hee, putting them both in danger. Concerned, Kim returns to Sun-hee, and they spend time decorating his room together. As their feelings grow, they become romantic, only for CEO Bok to unexpectedly arrive. Bok, having learned that Kim is his half-brother born out of wedlock, is shocked, as is Sun-hee. Kim, however, rejects any ties to the family, which angers Bok, who accuses Kim of trying to take over his company. Enraged, Bok demands that both Kim and Sun-hee leave the company. Kim is deeply worried that Sun-hee has lost her job because of him. But Sun-hee, determined to teach Bok a lesson, suggests that Kim should overthrow Bok and become the new CEO. However, the next morning, Kim decides to sacrifice his job to save Sun-hee. He meets with CEO Bok, informing him that he has divorced Sun-hee, hoping this will spare her. But Bok quickly sees through Kim's lie when he notices Kim still wearing the engagement ring. Nonetheless, Bok offers not to fire Sun-hee on one condition: Kim must leave the country forever without causing any more trouble. As rumors about Sunhee and Kim's situation spread through the company, An becomes worried, knowing that their marriage was never real. He confronts Sunhee, but she denies ever claiming their marriage was fake, leaving An even more confused. Kim, feeling conflicted and unsure of what to do, finds comfort when Sunhee arrives to lighten his mood with her usual charm. Meanwhile, Kwon, An's wife, learns that Sunhee was An's ex-girlfriend and begins to worry that something recent between them might have led to Sunhee's supposed divorce from Kim. Later, Kim and Sunhee decide to spend a day together, knowing it might be their last time as a couple. They visit various places across the city, trying to make the most of their time. While passing by a police station, an officer who knows Sunhee stops her and asks her to check her messages. Though initially puzzled, Sunhee checks her phone and discovers that a dangerous criminal who once stalked her foster sister Namja has been released from prison. At the same time, Namja spots a suspicious figure lurking outside her house, adding to the growing tension. Kim and Sunhee rush back home, only to find CEO Bak holding Namja, instead of the stalker they feared. We then flash back to CEO Bak drinking heavily at a bar, deeply upset over his feelings for Namja. His secretary, Yeo, comes to collect him after receiving his phone call and, knowing that Bak is emotionally torn over Namja, decides to send him to confront her. Sunhee is bewildered and assumes that Bak is pressuring Namja into a relationship because of Kim's true identity. Infuriated, she attempts to hit Bak with an umbrella, but it accidentally lands on Kim instead. Namja, however, admits that she also has feelings for CEO Bak, explaining that she has grown to see him as a good person. Sunhee, now furious at both Bak and Namja, becomes crazy, feeling betrayed since she despises Bak for his role in her and Kim's troubles. That night, Sunhee checks on Kim, expecting him to be resting. Instead, she finds CEO Bak sleeping in Kim's bed. Worried, she takes the blanket from Bak and covers Kim, who is sleeping on the floor. After tending to his bruises, she quietly leaves the room. The next morning at breakfast, Sunhee learns from CEO Bak that Kim is planning to leave the country soon. This revelation leaves her both angry and heartbroken. In an attempt to comfort her, Kim buys her favorite flowers. However, when he returns home, he is surprised to find Sunhee acting as though she doesn't care about his departure. She tells him that she's used to people coming and going in her life, which deeply upsets Kim. He leaves the house, frustrated, while Sunhee breaks down in tears, unable to fully express her emotions. Kim soon returns and, in a passionate moment, confesses his love for her, sealing it with a kiss. Later, on the weekend, CEO Bak takes Namjao on a tour of his office building, and they share a kiss. Suddenly, they hear someone approaching and hide. It turns out to be An, who is being chased by his suspicious wife, demanding answers about his relationship with Sunhee. When An remains silent, his wife threatens him with divorce, but he reassures her that nothing is happening between him and Sunhee anymore. After they leave, Namja tells Bak that this will be their first and last date, leaving him heartbroken. Meanwhile, Kim and Sunhee wake up together the next morning, and just as they are about to kiss, Namja returns home. Feeling down, Namja craves some ice cream to lift her mood but finds the fridge off and everything melted, making her furious. She storms to her room. Later, Sunhee sneaks into Kim's room while he's out and discovers an old photograph of her mother with Kim. When Kim returns with ice cream, he finds Sunhee with the photograph and her mother's diary in her hands. Realizing that Kim was one of the foster children her mother took care of while neglecting her own daughter, Sunhee feels betrayed. She demands that Kim leave the house immediately. A flashback reveals that when Sunhee's mother adopted Kim as a foster child, she had already left home. Before her departure, Sunhee's mother made Kim promise never to reveal his connection to her. Now, Sunhee is angry that her mother gave love and care to others while she was the one who needed it most. Kim, heartbroken, tries to explain that he wanted to tell her the truth, but was bound by his promise to her mother. Sunhee, however, is enraged by the knowledge that one of the foster children's abusive fathers killed her own father, yet her mother still chose to foster Kim. Overwhelmed, she storms out of the house. The next day, Kim goes to her office, only to find out that Sunhee has taken the day off. Worried, he meets with CEO Bak and Secretary Yeo, who informs him that Sunhee's father was indeed killed by one of the foster children's abusive fathers. When Kim convinces Bak to call Sunhee as her boss, they learn she is out of town. Kim rushes to her location. When they run into each other, Sunhee is surprised to see him but reveals that she feels lost and alone, unable to find the diaries she was searching for. To comfort her, Kim shows her a video of her mother, in which she says Sunhee's name, proving that despite her dementia, her mother still remembers and loves her. This moment brings them both a sense of closure, as Sunhee realizes her mother never forgot her. He reveals that they had actually met before when he was a high school student, but he pretended not to know her. Later that night, a suspicious man breaks into Sunhee's home while Namja is alone. It turns out the man is her abusive father, the same person who killed Sunhee's father. Frightened and furious, Namja throws her phone at him and locks herself in her room. When Sunhee tries to call Namja and gets no answer, she becomes anxious. Meanwhile, Namja's father breaks into her room and demands to know her mother's whereabouts. Namja refuses, and just as he becomes violent, CEO Bak arrives to protect her. In the struggle, Namja's father injures Bak with a knife. As they fall down the stairs, the man tries to finish Bak off, but Bak manages to fight him off and stop him. Namja comes downstairs and Bak hugs her tightly, relieved that she's safe. The police arrest Namja's father, and this brings Bak and Namja closer. When Sunhee arrives and sees Namja is unharmed, she's relieved. But the sight of Namja's father drives her to an emotional breaking point. Namja then learns that Sunhee knew her father killed Sunhee's dad, but still treated Namja like a sister. Bak and Namja are taken to the hospital, where they spend time recovering together. Sunhee, now alone with Kim, feels the danger isn't over. Kim decides to sleep on the sofa to be close by. In the middle of the night, Sunhee gets a call from her mother. The staff informs her that her mother has passed away. Sunhee wakes Kim to let him know. After Sunhee's mother's funeral, Kim promises at the grave to protect Sunhee forever. When he tells her about this promise, Sunhee realizes that Kim has been living his whole life based on promises he made to his own mother, grandmother, and now Sunhee's mother. She gently releases him from these promises, wanting him to live freely. Taking off his engagement ring, she leaves, heartbroken but knowing it's for the best. Although Sunhee breaks down in tears afterward, knowing it was the right decision, it's still difficult for her to let Kim go. Time passes, and Kim decides to leave the country. CEO Bak is confused and questions why, but Kim has his reasons for going peacefully. Later, Namja spots Kim at a restaurant with a foreign friend, but she chooses not to tell Sunhee. When Sunhee visits her mother's old house, she finds Kim there with another woman. She later learns that Kim and the woman were planning to buy the house but decided against it. Though upset, Sunhee focuses on her own life, opening her own company and hiring Yeo as her secretary. They meet with CEO Bak, hoping to get his investment. Though hesitant at first, Bak agrees to help after hearing Namja's name. Sunhee also learns from Jiyeon that Kim has returned to Korea for a wedding and will soon leave again. She starts missing him and visits the convenience store where he used to work. The owner, noticing her tears, gives her a letter from Kim, thanking her for being a loyal customer. To her surprise, Kim also shows up. Seeing Kim one last time makes Sunhee happy, and she teases him about the girl she saw him with at her mother's house. Kim explains that the girl is his stepsister, Sarah, and he was helping organize her wedding. Sunhee is relieved and overjoyed to know they can be together again. Kim, exhausted, falls asleep on her shoulder, and she helps him to her room. The next morning, Sunhee panics when she can't find Kim, but when he returns, she realizes that he's come back to stay with her for good. They share a kiss, and their new journey as a married couple begins. And that's it, folks. I really hope you enjoyed the series recap with me. We'll meet again in the next video.